I wanted to start off today talking about gaslighting for Mike. Hey, Mike. Is Mike there? Hey, Mike. Mike was talking about how he's being gaslit. I think that is how you might say it. And gaslighting, for those of you who aren't really aware of it, is when somebody is trying to make you, somebody is getting you to question your own reality. They're getting you to doubt yourself. For example, a boss might gaslight an employee to make them feel as though they aren't as competent as they really are, so that the boss can have a greater sense of power. In a relationship, this is very common. What is the top sign that your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend is actually cheating on you? Could you turn that down a little bit? What is the top thing that they will say to you if you bring it up that you believe, if you bring up the fact that you believe they might be cheating? What is the number one sign that they really are if they say this to you? Anybody know? Gaslighting is the worst, isn't it? If your spouse, so remember this, everybody, if you say to your spouse something like, hey, I'm beginning to think you're seeing too much of them, or I just found out, yada, yada, and they say to you, are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? Are you feeling okay? When your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend is guilty, the first thing that guilty cheaters tend to do is pull out the crazy card and say, are you losing it? Are you okay? Are you not? That is gaslighting, trying to get people to question their own sense of reality or their own capacity to remember, to judge. So if you feel like this is happening to you, it's an insidious process, and frequently one does not realize that he or she is being gaslit. I don't even know if that's how you'd say that, that someone is gaslighting them until they're deep into it, and they start to think, God, did I do that right? Because people will do things like they will change dates. Many politicians lately have been gaslighting a lot, the whole country. And I'm not political, but I'm just going to say, no matter which side you're on, you're going to think that the other side, because there are basically two sides in the United States at the moment, which is unfortunate. I am neither. I have voted and tend to like people from both sides. However, there's a lot of gaslighting going on. People changing the story, changing the dates, right in front of us, and basically the story is, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? And people start to question their own ability to judge other people's character. You know what I mean? Like, I was talking to my dad about this the other day, and I asked him, I said, Dad, when did you stop judging people for yourself? When did you start calling into question your own ability to judge somebody based on the evidence at hand and your own eyes? Because if you are being gaslit, you will start to just be like, what am I supposed to think? That's what I think. And a boss can do that to an employee little by little in an insidious way. So all of a sudden, the employee that once felt very competent is suddenly feeling very incompetent and questioning himself or herself, thinking, did I send that in? I thought I was good at that. Why am I not good at that? When you see that happening, whether it's at home or at work, remember that the person who is gaslighting you, it is a type of torture, and it's not okay at all. It is okay to disagree with someone and argue with them and try to change their mind or their perspective. It is not okay to try and trick people into thinking they are crazy, because sometimes it drives people crazy, and that's torture. If you find that someone is gaslighting you, remember, the moment that you start to sense it, always trust your own instincts. The phrase that I like to use, and then I'm going to get back into why we should always trust our own instincts. The phrase that I like to use is something about impugn. Say to the gaslighter, you can refrain from impugning my integrity anytime. You can refrain from impugning my memory unless you would like me to embarrass you in front of our colleagues the next time you do it. So I personally, when people have done that to me, questioned my memory, questioned my professionalism, when I know, hey, you're just doing that trying to get me to doubt myself, when you and I both know that in this case, my memory does serve me. You're making things up. You're trying to get me to believe that I'm crazy. When you say to somebody, where were you last Saturday night? Are you feeling okay? That type of stuff. If you impugn my memory or my intentions one more time, it's going to be very embarrassing for you. So I suggest that when we discuss these things, we do it in a truthful, upfront manner. You can leave it at that. But remember, talk about how people, because that is what they're doing. They're impugning your memory. They're impugning your integrity. They're impugning your sanity. So if you impugn my sanity one more time in front of our colleagues or in front of, or alone, just the two of us, it's going to get very embarrassing for you. So I suggest that instead of doing that, we have frank, honest discussions about these things. So you need to bring it up immediately, but that's gaslighting. Now, the reason that I say always trust your instincts, even if it's going to embarrass you every now and then because maybe you aren't right, 99% of the time you will be right, because our conscious, if you've read that book, Blink, and don't forget to let me know about new questions and comments that are coming up. If you've read that book, Blink, John Malcolm, I believe it is, he talks a lot about how when you first meet people, our subconscious mind is making all of these snap judgments, and we judge people, and we subconsciously know things, and our gut tells us things much more accurately than the facts at hand. We instantly know, if we think, hey, wait a minute, I'm not making that up, I'm not crazy. Sometimes we don't remember things correctly, and when somebody jogs our memory, we say, oh yeah, that's right. That's not common. Most of the time when we remember things, when we feel as though, hey, I think you're getting one over on me, I think you're cheating on me, I think that you're stealing my ideas and trying to undermine my authority at work. When you think that, you are right 99% of the time, because the subconscious mind is what has kept this species alive. When we meet somebody, let's say, walking through the continents, in the old days before communications tools, we did not have time to sit down and talk to somebody and ask them about their background and their geographic origin and where they're from and their family and all of that stuff to determine whether or not they were safe. We had to figure it out in an instant, and our subconscious mind helps us do that based on the facts at hand, gathering them quickly, processing them more quickly than our conscious mind could, and letting us know safe, unsafe, truth, not truth, counterfeit, legit. They had, in that book, I think it is Blink, they had a whole bunch of people look at art, a genuine piece of art, and then a counterfeit piece of art. And they could only look at them very quickly and decide which one of them is the counterfeit. And the vast majority of people were correct as to which one was the counterfeit, and they could not say why, because they looked the same. But they'd be like, oh, okay, I think it's that one. And the reason they knew was because their subconscious mind, more quickly than their conscious mind, was able to gather the facts very quickly, process them, and help them make those snap judgments. So if you are at the first time you have a feeling that somebody is trying to get you to question your own reality and push you down that slippery slope into insanity from which you may never return, put an end to that. Keep an eye out for it, and if you believe that it's happening, call people out on it immediately and tell them that they can stop impugning your memory, your integrity, your professionalism, or anything else, unless they're prepared for this to get very embarrassing for them, especially in front of the people that they tend to be gaslighting you. It is in front of the people in front of whom they tend to be gaslighting you. So that's my gaslighting. I have another question about saying no. Andrew, do we have any other questions in the meantime?
We have a lot of questions.
Oh, give me one of them.
Deborah Saris.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Dan. How would you remind someone of the boundaries you have set that they have crossed?
Oh, okay.
I want to do something with respect.
Okay, Deborah. Deborah asked, how can you remind somebody that they are crossing boundaries that you have already set, but do it in a respectful way? Good for you, Deborah. I use what's called boundary statements, and boundary statements tend to sound like this, Deborah. So this is the pattern that I use and I recommend. Marty, I'm going to go with my brother because he was doing a big cameo in my previous video. If you have not seen our previous video on dealing with critical people, The Prophet, check it out. And for an example, if my brother started overstepping boundaries, like let's say that he and I were talking, and I've said to him before, that this is not true, Marty, or anybody listening to this. If I were to say to Marty in a moment of clarity and sanity, and set boundaries, like, Marty, when we're talking about business and you start to bring in politics, that really disturbs me, and I need you to stop doing that because it makes it difficult for me to do my job efficiently or effectively. Okay, let's just say that we said that. That has never happened. I like it when he talks about politics. If he started doing that, that's when you throw out a boundary statement, and it sounds like this. Marty, I do want to blankety blank, but not like this, but not like this, or but not this way, or but not if you are going to blah, blah, blah. Now, I tend to use duct tape phrases. Duct tape phrases are things like, Marty, I do want to blah, 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 but not this way. Like, for example, let's say that we were trying to find a solution to a business problem, and all of a sudden he starts saying, you know why you think that way? Because you're a fascist. That's why. Let's just say he did that. I could say, Marty, I do want to find a solution to this problem with you, but not this way, but not like this. Now, the reason I say that is because you want to have those phrases ready for when you can't think, because you are so nervous or somebody's pushing your emotional buttons. And remember, when somebody's pushing your emotional buttons, that makes the right-hand side of your brain stimulate so much that it draws you out of the left-hand side of the brain where your words live. So we are much, much, much more susceptible to losing our words during the moments in which we need them the most. That is why I recommend practicing duct tape phrases like, Andrew, I do want to help you with this, but not like this. I do want to talk about this with you, but not this way. Now, if I can remember specifically my words, I might say something more along the lines of, Marty, I do want to find a business solution, as we had discussed, but not if you're going to bring politics into it. We've talked about this. Now, and once you've delivered your boundary statement, and Deborah, you would know, I'm sure, since you asked how to do it in a respectful way, I'm sure that you would make it respectful. I was thinking in my mind right now, I was talking to my brother, but I might say to my boss, if it were my boss or a customer or my grandmother, Grandma, I forget about Grandma. I would let her say whatever she wants. But let's just say it's Andrew. I respect Andrew, okay? So I might say to Andrew, remember, we discussed this before, and I do want to help you find solutions to these challenges that you're facing, but not if you're going to be using that language. Now, once you say that, once you've delivered your boundary statement, and remember, the boundary statement has two components. The first component is, when I say I do want to, what I'm specifically doing is telling you, I'm trying to give you what you're asking for right now. I'm giving you the benefit statement at the beginning. I'm letting you know, hey, I'm trying to give you money. I'm trying to give you wisdom. I'm trying to help you find solutions. So heads up, I'm trying to do that for you. But, and then you throw in, remember, but not like this. I do want to talk with you about this, but not if you're going to yell and scream and call me names. I do want to find solutions, but not in this manner. I do want to find whatever it is. Now, once you've done that, okay, then you might or might not, Deborah, want to deliver a empowering statement. And an empowering statement is a statement that gives the other person the power. Because if they have crossed a boundary, chances are they have the need to feel powerful. And as Deborah, I'm sure you know, most of the time I have to choose, I can be effective or I can be right. I can, get what I want and get the goal, or I can try to prove to this person how wrong they are. So I'm going to assume that we're choosing to be effective rather than right. And after I deliver the boundary statement and say, Andrew, by the way, if you need to interrupt somebody, remember, keep repeating their name. So if Andrew's just on a tear using profanity, and I need to interrupt him, I might say, Andrew, remember, I do want to talk about these things with you and help you get what you need, but not if you're going to keep using profanity. Once I've done that, the empowering statement sounds like this. Are you ready to talk about this now, or do you need a few minutes to gather your thoughts? So I might say to, if it were my boss or something who is starting to steamroll over me and just starts to talk and makes me uncomfortable. Maybe if you're, sometimes we feel physically uncomfortable because we're with someone who's a lot bigger and they start to get abusive. John, I do want to continue this meeting and help you find solutions to all of these challenges. However, not in this manner. Now, are you ready right now to continue this conversation, or would you like to take a few minutes and regain your composure? Or I could flip it around and say, hey, John, I do want to talk about all of these things with you, but not in this manner. Do you want to take a few minutes and grab a cup of coffee and calm down? Or are you ready to continue now? Now, by the way, as I said that, I thought, I'm not supposed to say calm down. So forgive me, I make mistakes. But you want to ask people, would you like to take a few minutes, or are you ready now? That is an empowering statement. I'm giving you two options. You can either keep going now in the manner in which I'm instructing you, or we can talk about this later on. And that makes other people feel as though they're still choosing and they're still, they still are clinging to that power that they have. But remember, boundary statements help you remind people of boundaries or set them. And then you want to give them an empowering statement. And you might even want to give them a backdoor command. Wow, I apologize. We're having a storm move in here. Andrew, what other questions do we have? Okay. And I'm going to give a backdoor command on an upcoming video, not here today because it takes a little while. Yes?
Okay, I promote singer, Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Says I promote singers, comedians, and struggle to sell tickets to events online. I push the experience and create urgency with limited tickets closer to the date. Do you have any phrasing suggestions?
Say that last part again about you create a sense of urgency?
With limited tickets closer to the date.
Okay, and what was the final thing then? Do you have any other tactics?
Do you have any phrasing suggestions?
Oh boy, that's a good one. Her question is, you sell online tickets and you want, Maggie is insisting that we give her a little attention. Hold on. Hey Megs, hi Gibby, hey baby. I don't want to give you anything because that is not my specialty, and I wish it were, because I also sell online. So how about this? How about I'm going to look up some things for you, because if I made something up, it would be doing you a disservice. And let's help each other sell more online. What do you say? Is that Maria? Is that what her name was? Maria, let's do that. Let's collaborate and see if we can help each other sell more, because it's ridiculous that I don't focus more on sales. So how about that? I will get back to you on that if it's okay. Send me an email at dan@danO'ConnorTraining.com, and I think Maggie had enough. But that's similar to a question that I just got the other day. Excuse me, I apologize for doing this. I was asked for some phrasing for collecting bills, debt collecting, or for slow payers and things like that. And those are such specialty, copy. Maria's talking about copy. Website copy to increase urgency is very specialized. So is debt collection. And so I don't like to just make things up. So I will research that and see what I can find as good resources for you, and let's help each other. What do you say?
Okay. Donna says, how to participate when you're a stonewaller.
When you're a stonewaller?
Yeah.
I need some clarification. Her question is how to participate if you're being stonewalled or if you are a stonewaller.
Well, it actually says stonewallex.
I bet that's autocorrector. I don't know what the question really is. The person who's asking the question how to participate if you're a stonewallex, Waller? I'm not really sure. I don't understand the question. So could you rephrase that, and I'll try to get you an answer.
Okay. Maria says, thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Maria.
And let me see. I wanted to ask if during a conversation, other people suppress you, or like they try to tell you that you're above you, how to deal with them, or in another way, how to act and a bit more powerful.
Oh, okay. The question is, if you are in a conversation with other people who try to assert their power over you, is that, and so you kind of want to know how to counter that so that you're not, let's say, pushed aside. I think that's the question. My I would have to, that happens all the time, so it's very common. It's one of the most common communication situations. The answer, however, is not that easy because I would want to start out by asking myself, or I would ask you, what is the situation? Who are these people, that you're having this conversation with? And why is that a question in your mind? They want to assert their power over me and I don't want that to happen. What's going on? Why is that crossing your mind? The reason I say that is because if you are truly confident in your communication prowess, that wouldn't enter your mind. If these are, mean people that you shouldn't be around, well, then that answers that. Don't be around them anymore. If these are, if they're bosses, let's say, and they're just trying to show you how smart they are, I would let them do that, and just sit quietly. If it's just your personality style, and so you might feel that way, but maybe it's not going on. There are so many components that go into that. I think that takes a whole lesson, wouldn't you say? Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Is that we have backdoor commands, and we just have now. That's a great one though for a whole lesson. So we have a lesson on, okay, got it. But so I apologize, I will need to do a whole lesson for that. And I'm going to have to move along and do that in a video, maybe on Thursday. So I will do that, I'm gonna do that on Thursday, okay? A whole big one.
Okay. Do you have any advice on how to handle a coworker that does work for you to help them that you do not approve of, and how to confront them or speak to them?
Yes. If a coworker is, let's say, doing work for you, I just did it for you, and you're like, that's not helping because you didn't do it the way I would do it, and now I have to either redo it or take responsibility for your debacle. I believe that's the question. Yes, I would absolutely. Two things. First, I would have a desk. I would use a desk script while having a very direct conversation with them about it. And the reason I say a desk script or an AEIOU script, both of those are available if you've taken my 52 lesson Step Out of the Shadows and Speak course. A desk script sounds like this. DESC. Describe the behavior, give the effects of the behavior, say what you want done, and give consequences. That's DESC, which is almost the same as AEIOU. A is actions, E is effects, I is I want, O is or else, and U is you'll get. I'm just gonna go with the desk because it's a letter shorter, okay? So let's say that Andrew were doing my work for me. I would want to sit down for a moment before I had this direct conversation and think, okay, I need to be very clear about this because evidently I have not been. If somebody's doing something that you don't want them to do, it is because you have not been clear or have taken the proper steps to prevent that from happening. We all do that, but now it's come time where you need to say, okay, I need to stop the cycle. So if it were Andrew, for example, I would say DESC, D, one sentence per thing, like D. What is the exact specific behavior? Andrew, not like, I notice sometimes you do my work when I don't ask you to. That's sometimes, never, occasionally, always. If that comes out of your mouth, you get the gong and you have to start over and try again the next time. But specifically would be like, Andrew, yesterday, you finished the Jones project for me when I was not consulted. That's it, period. Now, E, when you do things like that, it causes confusion both with the office in general and with you and me. S, say what you want. In the future, you and I both need to agree what work of mine you're going to do before you do it. That's all I need to say. And now I get to the C, the consequence. For guys, it's always pretty easy. I can always say as a good consequence to a guy like, and if you can do that, Andrew, we will never have to have this conversation again. Because most men, when they're having these difficult conversations, if you finish it as soon as possible with, if you can do that for me, we will never need to talk about this again. People will be like, okay, I'll do that, because guys don't want to talk about it. But I could also say something like, I always want to keep it positive. Positive consequences have always been shown to be better than negative. So something like, and if you can do that, Andrew, both of us in the long run will get more work done and more efficiently, avoiding any confusion. Now, once you've said the DESC, here's what you did, here's why that's wrong, here's what I want, and here's what you'll get. Again, check out the 52. I always just get the, if you're looking for specific tactics like this, get the VIP pass at danoconnortraining.com. It's still on special, probably till November. We're almost in November. Are we in November? No, we're not. But remember, that's the script, that's the meat of your message, but you want to start and end with a bang, which means you need to learn, if you have not done this yet, about lead-in lines and closing lines. Lead-in lines are going to be things like, Andrew, I need your help. Andrew, I'm frustrated. Andrew, I'm concerned. Andrew, I'm troubled. You need to say I language, something about me, use the person's name, and describe your emotion. That's it. Andrew, I'm frustrated and I need your help. Period. Pause. That's a lead-in line, an example of one. A closing line is the other thing you really need to get down, because if you deliver a good message but you're not ready to close it and you're like, Andrew, I need your help. Yesterday when you did the Jones report for me, and I realized that was to be helpful, unfortunately what it did was cause confusion with both the Joneses and with you and me. In the future, we need to agree in advance what work of mine you're going to do before you start doing it. And that way, our customers will be happier, you and I will be happier, and we will never need to talk about this again. So now I'm going to keep talking like I don't have a closing line, and a lot of us get really nervous. And so after I'd said what I needed to say, I'd be like, so I wanted to make sure that I said that, Andrew, and I just wanted you to know we're cool. It's not the biggest deal, but I wanted to bring it up, and now I brought it up. So there you go. Ha 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 ha. That's it. Don't do that. Come up with a closing line and be like, so Andrew, I want to make sure that if we can do that, you and I will be cool and we'll never have to talk about this again. Can I count on you for that?
Yes.
Yes! Remember, a good closing line is something like, can I count on you for that? Are we on the same page? Are we good? And then people will say to you, yes. And you're like, great. Because even if they don't really want to agree to whatever it is you're asking, if you get people to say yes, it increases the odds they will actually do that. And it's all about the odds here. And it's all about timing. So I hope that answered your question, because I'm seeing the fuzzy clock at 5:33, and I thank you all for being here. But Andrew, it's bedtime for Andrew, you know. So please stop by danoconnortraining.com and check out the VIP pass if you would like more resources like this, and become a member at our YouTube channel. I'm going to start doing very special things for the YouTube members once I figure out what they are. So please send in messages telling me what they should be. And for Mom, I hope to see you soon. And Dad, hello Dad. Dad is my inspiration, because he and I are going to be spending a lot of time in heaven together. So he and I talk a lot about these strategies, and he was a mentor for me. My mom, we talk a lot about it, but we've already discussed. Andrew knows. She's
the best.
She's the... Bye, everybody. Bye, Mom. Okay. Bye, Jim. Bye, Jim and Jorge. Goodbye. Thank you, everybody. Remember, danoconnortraining.com. Please subscribe to this channel and become a member, both here and on danoconnortraining.com. Hurry up before Andrew turns it off. Oh, no, Andrew.